Yeah, and there's a few people coming here at Nottingham as well. The crowds are steadily coming through the gates. The fillies are in the paddock as well ahead of our opening contest. We can just pan round to pick up the top horse, Food for Thought, filly by Dubawi. Just ever so slightly on her toes at stages as she's been in the pre-parade and since she came into the paddock, but nothing you'd be overly concerned about. You obviously expect a few of them to be looking as if they've got the potential to start sweating up a little this morning, and that is the case with Food for Thought. But filly who's shown ability, certainly last season when she was runner-up on her second career outing. Bit disappointing at Chepstow last time we saw her. She was in trouble a good way out. They've gone for a hiking trip with Food for Thought this afternoon, up from 7 furlongs to the 1.25 miles, but she's going to have to switch off if she's going to see out this longer distance. Number 3, the Chestnut, is behind her. This is Velvet Vega. I think she's got the best form in the book as it stands. That second to earth shot on the Rowley Mile is a difficult piece of form to knock, given what Earthshot went and did at Royal Ascot last week and the calibre of filly she was clearly up against there. And there was a good distance back to the third placed horse that day. Turned over as an odds-on favourite on her most recent outing at Kempton, but it possibly wasn't as bad as it looks. That she tried to beat Tribal Queen, who looked a smart winner, and she just ended up getting a little bit tired. That was over a furlong further than what she races over today. She's staying nice and relaxed. Saw her getting saddled up, and she was very calm all the way through. And we can drop back to Hatter Romance, the third and final filly in this field. She's the daughter of Frankel, who was picked up by Mark Usher's team Unraced. And she made a nice start to her career at Newbury first time out. Certainly showed ability. She was in the race for a long way. Stuck out deep in the middle of the track when she made her challenge, and she just understandably was left behind in the final couple of furlongs, but not a run without promise. And she's a daughter of Frankel out of Powerful Breeze, who only ran 3 times in her career, including winning the May Hill and finishing second to Quadrilateral in the Fillies Mile. So it's a quality pedigree. That's Hatter Romance in the red hood, but no signs of her being on edge in any way in the paddock.
Thank you very much, Martin. Just a 3, but forgive the pun, there is food for thought in here, because I'm particularly interested to see who's going to go forward in here and grab what seems like an immediate advantage. Happy retirement, Martin Stoneham. Fillies Novice Stakes kicks off the card. It's for the 3-year-olds and upwards. Decent pot for it, 6,480 quid to the winner. Just got to beat 2 others. Velvet Vega 6-4 on, from Food for Thought 6-4 against, and 16-1 at the moment. Hatter Romance has opened, having been bigger and been shorter as well in the hours leading up to it. 3 of them heading to post. I'll pose you that immediate question, Sam. Who do you think goes forward?
Probably Velvet Vega. I think it would suit her if she was allowed to slide along. Food for Thought would probably just want to get a toe up to 1.25 miles. She was a bit free and exuberant at Chepstow. She was challenged for the lead that day, and obviously she's jumping up from 7 furlongs to the 1.25 miles. She tackled a mile at Yarmouth last year and ran well, but I just wonder whether they just want to get her back and get her switched off a little bit. So I'd imagine Pat Dobbs would be keen to take a lead on Food for Thought, and Hatter Romance won't be far away either, you wouldn't think, after that promising run at Newbury first time.
I'm not surprised to see Velvet Vega favourite, not at all, to be honest, because even taking out, did an excellent debut behind a subsequent Royal Ascot winner in Earthshot. That 1.3 test around Kempton, if you're drawn wide, you have a furlong to get to the first bend. And if you're, it really does tie a jockey's hands, it seems, that you're either going to take back or you're going to try to go forward. Bishop Murphy tried to go forward and things didn't quite work out for her. No,
and he could have been beaten by a couple of decent prospects that day. I was trying to think what price would she be if she hadn't been to Kempton, and probably 4 on, 5 on, something along those lines,
I think
really.
So, yeah.
So I'm always willing to forgive a horse as well, their second run, especially if they've put a big effort in first time out. Now, I know she had 6 weeks, 5-6 weeks to get over that performance at Newmarket, and she ran really well behind Earthshot, who, of course, won the Ribblesdale last week. But you know, it still takes a lot out of them mentally and physically, I think, no matter how revved up they are for their debut and how switched on they are. So there's quite often a little bit of a lull after a promising performance, and she's got the opportunity to put the record straight here. Really good chance for a lovely track, fast ground, mile and a quarter. Should be no excuses against the rivals she takes on.
And food for thought will likely be tracking her through, as you said, and 13-8 on this step-up and trip, which is unlikely to be a really proper test at the trip, necessarily. You fancy that this could be a little bit of a tactical dawdle?
Yeah, I mean, you can just see here that the first two in the market, or the two main protagonists, obviously Benoit de la Sayette's got his feet out the irons there. Food for Thought can be quite racy, quite a keen, exuberant filly as well. So just settling these fillies and educating them is going to be I would say, the paramount test today, really, and the assignment that I think Connections will want to tick. You can just see, Velvet Vega is not the most straightforward. Chestnut filly. I just thought Hatter Romance, who looks fairly uncomplicated in comparison, could build on that newbie run and might be a touch overpriced at 18.
Yeah, I think if you gave me a tenner, I'd probably
Not
chance it on... Well, yeah, man can dream. I'd probably chance it on Hatter Romance, because you feel that Velvet Vega, as we're just seeing now, as you've just rightly mentioned, is not showing herself to be particularly straightforward. Food for Thought is coming in off the back of... Whichever way you look at it, even if a drop back to 7 wasn't the right move, it was still disappointing that she was beaten quite so far.
Yes, and obviously she got that rating of 80 off the back of it, but we can just see here that if anything beats Velvet Vega, it's probably going to be herself. And, she obviously takes a little bit of knowing, and I think at odds on, I'm happy to let her win.
Right. 3 of them down at the start. Velvet Vega 7-4 on, Martin.
Yeah, and you can see whether it's inexperience or a little bit of attitude with Velvet Vega. She was a little bit hesitant just to go out onto the walkway out to the track as well, leaving the parade ring. And Benoit de la Sayette, you saw him with his feet out his irons as she was hacking down to the start. It's only a short run to the start. She very much is, I think, I know Food for Thought has got that 80 rating, but I think Velvet Vega's debut effort was to a higher standard than that, and it was over this trip on decent ground as well. So conditions and distance we know will be absolutely fine for Velvet Vega, and she sets the standard. But how much of a test this race will be is debatable, obviously, with just 3 runners. I think Food for Thought, she will have to settle if she's going to not be vulnerable in the final couple of furlongs. And there was just signs with her on her toes in the paddock, just looking quite an exuberant type, as she has done on the track in her runs so far as well, that there's a chance that she could take a little bit of a pull in a small field like this. But I'd imagine she'd probably be sent forward in all likelihood, and we'll see how things play out in that regard. Velvet Vega, hopefully she's not hesitant going in. She's absolutely fine, not a problem. Hatter Romance, who clearly has ability as well. Stamina, I suppose, would be a question with her to some extent as well. It's not guaranteed on pedigree. She hardly shaped like a real stayer in making on her debut, but she may just have needed that run, and she wasn't in an ideal position on the track. And Food for Thought will be the final one. So as he makes a step-by-step trip up to Newcastle, we've got Richard Hoyles in the commentary box.
Good morning, everyone. Off and racing. Food for Thought jumps slightly in the air, but that's going to prove academic, I think, because the early pace is very sedate as we race through the first furlong, and Food for Thought indeed is going to be able to cross over and get a pretty cheap lead, to be honest, with the other 2 under restraint. Velvet Vega, who was very keen in the preliminaries, settled by Benoit de la Sayette in 2nd place, and Hatter Romance likewise anchored at the rear by Tyler Hurd as the runners make their way down the back straight, and we're now inside the final mile. Food for Thought under Pat Dobbs, leading by a couple of lengths. Velvet Vega for Benoit de la Sayette in the check jacket, and Hatter Romance now just moving a little bit closer to dispute 2nd place and maybe just apply a little bit of pressure to Food for Thought, who has been able to set a very pedestrian gallop down the back straight. So heading towards its exit, still a way to go before we reach the left-hand turn. Food for Thought in the royal colours. Hatter Romance's white face on the outside of Velvet Vega in the check colours, and the whole field still covered by only 2 lengths. As it's still this steady gallop, we've reached the halfway stage. Turning out of the back straight then, Food for Thought it is who has the lead. Velvet Vega only a length back in company with Hatter Romance, and they continue to dispute 2nd place as we reach the crown of the bend and begin the turn for home. and have just over 4 furlongs to travel from this point. Food for Thought it is, who'll turn in, had the run of the race out in front to this point and leads from Hatter Romance and Velvet Vega, who's got the cover she required, and now as we reach the cutaway they'll just begin to manoeuvre themselves into position. So Food for Thought out in the lead. In second, Hatter Romance just keeping Velvet Vega in the pocket at the moment as the race begins to develop. As out in the lead, Food for Thought untroubled. Velvet Vega still with Hatter Romance holding her on the running rail, and that's allowing Food for Thought to begin to try and press for home. Still only a length clear, however, from Hatter Romance and Velvet Vega, who are now trying to give their challenges. But Food for Thought out in front still has the lead. Velvet Vega is still over a length down. Hatter Romance is still alongside as out in front, untroubled at the moment. Food for Thought with Hatter Romance running a big race. Velvet Vega is seen off in third. Hatter Romance trying to provide a shock, but Food for Thought, soft time out in the lead, and a royal morning breakfast for Food for Thought. Pat Dobbs and Rafe Beckett for His Majesty the King and Her Majesty the Queen sees away Hatter Romance and Velvet Vega, who may have lost her race beforehand, in third.
Food for Thought, all very straightforward for the filly ridden by Pat Dobbs this afternoon. She's gone from the front, dictated matters at the head of affairs and run out a ready winner. Brief challenge from Hatter Romance, who has run really well, building on her debut promise in second, but Food for Thought has taken advantage of what was a disappointing run from the favourite Velvet Vega, and she's had the run of the race. She's settled nicely as well on a turning track over this longer trip. Not a problem there for Food for Thought, and she's seen her race out well. It's a difficult piece of form, clearly, to be able to assess and weigh up properly, but it was very straightforward for Pat Dobbs aboard the King and Queen's runner, and an important win for her as well. She's a nicely bred daughter of Dubawi, out of a Galileo mare, no doubt has a future herself at the breeding sheds, and this is an all-important win in that regard. Velvet Vega, I don't know what to make of her. She was obviously very edgy in the preliminaries, locked up on the rail briefly as well, but she's just not progressed really from her debut effort, whereas Hatter Romance has run really well and shown more than enough ability to suggest that she'll be up to winning races going forwards. But Food for Thought kicks off the morning with a winner for Rafe Beckett and Pat Dobbs.